House group attenders, I'm excited about your opportunity to think about the kingdom of God. Jesus came, and part of the good news of Jesus coming is that he ushers in the kingdom of God. Now, in the message, I walked through the end of Luke, and there are all these passages that talk about the kingdom coming, all the way leading up to the day of Palm Sunday, where Jesus goes down the Mount of Olives. He can see up into Jerusalem, and the throngs of people gathering, coming for the Passover, begin to sing out his praise. And it really is the only time in the New Testament, in the gospel sections, where Jesus is proclaimed as the coming king. But he is the king, and his kingdom already has entered into our world. In fact, Jesus says that it's not a place or some location you go to, but it's in our midst. Jesus's kingdom, his rule, comes into our midst when we put our faith in him and follow after him. Now, there are two parts to that. There's believing in Jesus and what he did in his death and resurrection on the cross. And then there's believing in what Jesus says to be true. And that's really believing in his kingdom, believing in Jesus's way of life and living that way of life out in your life. What you'll find and discover is the good news about Jesus becomes so much more real and powerful in your life when you believe in his way of life and begin to practice it. You invite Jesus to lead you into a way of being generous and compassionate, and to turn the other cheek, to love your enemies. All these amazing qualities are things that we learn because we seek to reside in his kingdom. It's a supernatural kingdom. And because it's a supernatural kingdom, it breaks into our natural world. And we need to learn those different ways and different patterns of living out. In Colossians 3, verses 1-3, the Apostle Paul writes, "Since then you've been raised with Christ, set your heart on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hid with Christ in God." The invitation there is to let your mind and your thinking see the supernatural, see the reality of who Jesus is and all that he's accomplished. See your own life seated with Jesus at the Father's right hand, and then live that out in our daily lives. Begin to live out the pattern of the kingdom. I hope in your discussion you can begin to see what it would be like if not only you believed in all the benefits of Jesus's death and resurrection, but also began to see how his way of life is the best way of life for here and now. And it becomes a supernatural way of life when we recognize that Jesus's kingdom has already begun and only will grow in our lives more and more as we live our lives until he comes again and is completely ushered into our world. Enjoy your discussion of this important topic.